Back at CES earlier this year, I get the feeling that we'll be saying that a lot over the coming weeks. Razer let us get hands-on with the RAZER turret for the Xbox for the very first time. The initial run was interesting with lots of questions to come out of the experience. But now that Razer has officially launched the turret to the world, and we're going to see for ourselves if all of our questions get answered today, and is it worth your time and money. But before we dig into the whole experience, let's jump over to a quick unboxing and look at what all comes in the box. Razer does tend to put a bit of effort into the unpacking experience after all. Alright folks, so here we have the RAZER turret in the box that it comes in. Let's go ahead and open that up and see how they present it. It's actually done really well here. You've got the turret keyboard itself here, the mouse over here, and the receiver there. So the mouse is the RAZER Mamba Wireless. Now the biggest difference being, actually the only difference that I could find by looking at it is of course serial number and that it's the RAZER turret for Xbox One. It's very clearly labeled there. I think there's a magnet in this one to actually connect it. And we'll look at that here in a bit and actually compare it to the regular Mamba and see if that makes a difference. So that is the mouse. We're going to set that right here. Then we have again the receiver. Now what I want to point out about the receiver, and they were very clear at CES that you were only going to get one of these. Now you can use it on PC or Xbox, but you're going to have to move the receiver. You're not going to be able to toggle back and forth between that. So I'm going to set that right there next to the mouse. Now here's the turret itself. It is really heavy. I'm going to have to get it on a scale to see just how heavy it is, but it's got a nice wrist rest. The idea with the weight is so that it's not shifting around on your lap while you're trying to use it, if you're going to use it like that. Now it does have a nice back, like a protective back on it. We're going to go ahead and peel that off. If everybody's into the peel, we're going to go ahead and do that. On the bottom, it's completely rubber. The bottom is 100% covered in rubber except for right here where this stuff is. And take a look at this side right here, flip it back around, and we'll take a look at pulling the mouse pad out. If I can figure out how to do that, there it is. There's a latch right there to keep it from just coming out. So there is your hard surface mouse pad, and there you go. There's the mouse. I mean, it's moving slightly, but it's staying in place. Look at that. That's pretty good. I mean, it feels very nice. I can feel the contact there. You can see me actually pulling it up. So that's really cool. Go ahead and set that here. Let's take a look at the rest of it. Let's set it right here where I'm at. Now, in the back, you got your manual for it. I'm going to actually have to look over this a little bit before I hook it up to see how everything works. So there's the manual. Hey, a little box. Oh, it's the charging adapter. That's kind of cool. So you got your wall wart with your USB and the RAZER logo. Go ahead and set that there. Let's see, in this one we have the main powering cable, and it is Type-C right here. So it's powered by USB Type-C on there and regular USB there. Take this one out and we have another. This is a full length cable for your mouse. I guess if you decide you want to use the mouse at your computer as well. Tell you what, let's go ahead and put that on there. So there you have that. And then you have this little bitty one here to connect the mouse to the keyboard. Let's actually go ahead and, while I've got everything sitting right here, move this out of the way. Let's go ahead and extend this. I'm going to turn it around so you can see it a little better on camera. So mouse here, you've got your Type-C connector over here. Then you've got this small cable right here to connect. And this seems a little bit counterintuitive, but you know, there's a lot going on here. And you can plug it in with this apparently a proprietary plug right here that I've got upside down. So if you want to use it while you're charging, it's very limited, but you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and say right now that I wish this was a bit longer. But either way, this is the first look at it. Now let's get it over onto the sofa and see kind of how it works. Now we're not going to spend much time on the mouse here, as it's pretty much an exact carbon copy of the RAZER Mamba Wireless and even comes in at the same 107 grams worth of weight. Long and short of it is a very solid and well-performing mouse that matches the $99 RAZER Mamba in every way. And yeah, that price point is important later on. Now onto the keyboard. The 10 keyless 4+ pound brick is such a very solid keyboard and houses a retractable hard surface mouse pad. The hard surface of the mouse pad is nice, but it may take some getting used to for people who aren't used to those and tend to use soft surfaces but the surface isn't quite as different as the magnetic pull. And while I like that the mouse doesn't slide around, it definitely took some getting used to with the magnetic pull, but you do get used to it pretty quickly. If I had one gripe, it would be that there's no adjustability in the height of the keyboard itself, but I understand why that doesn't exist. I mean, after all, this is designed to be used on your lap, and where are you going to put the kickstands? You going to put them on your knees? Something to think about.
I'd almost forgotten to give you guys a sound test. So leaning in, and here we go.
Now, setting up the RAZER turret was simple, almost too simple. See, I was worried that it wasn't working, or that it didn't work, and I needed to do something extra. You simply plug in the dongle and flip the power switches. That's really it. Of course, you can download the Synapse software from the Xbox store to further control the turret on the Xbox, or Synapse 3 on the desktop to do the same. As far as the keys themselves, it's featuring the RAZER green switches, which you can get ready for a clicky-clacky experience from the comfort of your couch. Now, not sure how that's going to resonate with others in the house, or in the same room for that matter, but it is, well, very nice. However, the option to pick one up in my preferred orange switch would have been really cool, guys. Like I mentioned before, the keyboard is a femur bending 4 pounds, but don't fret, it actually comes in handy as it sits fairly still while you're gaming with it on your lap, and with the fully rubber bottom, it's not budging on a table either. So, you know, if you choose to go that route. But it is nice that it sits solid and it doesn't move around a whole lot while you're using it. Plenty of charging options are welcome, but the small cable from the keyboard to the mouse is pretty much useless. If you want to actually use it while it's charging, you're going to have to go back and use the longer cable and just have cables kind of going everywhere if you want to use it while it's charging again. Speaking of charging and battery life, RAZER claims that you'll get around 30 hours on the mouse with the RGB on, and significantly more, closer to 50 hours with it off. Likewise, the keyboard will get you around 11 hours with the RGB on and just over 40 with it off. So pick your poison on that one. Do you want to see it in the dark, or do you just want it to last for quite a while? The Chroma RGB is supported in games like it is on the PC, but the Xbox support is kinda, well, let's get on to that. Right out of the way, I want to get this gripe done, and it's really not with RAZER or the turret. It's completely on Microsoft here. And why can we not get mouse support in the home menu or in the Edge browser? I mean, it's a web browser, guys. You can navigate using the arrow keys for the menus in the home page, and in Edge, you can actually tell that it recognizes the mouse and even highlights hyperlinks in the browser, but you can't see the cursor. So maybe they'll figure that one out soon enough. Now, playing games that are not in the growing supported list results in, well, nothing. It doesn't even pretend to work, so there's no way to force it. The only thing that works in it is the Xbox key. It brings up the home menu. And there's no way to force it to be functional in those games. But, however, in games that do support mouse and keyboard, you're in for a treat. Now, if the game runs like at a solid 60 FPS like Fortnite or Warframe, you're greeted with a very enjoyable and responsive time. I even had a friend of mine test it out with Fortnite in creator mode just so he could play around a bit, and needless to say that he was pretty impressed, and he is strictly a PC gaming kind of guy. X-Morph Defense was the game that we tried at CES, and it felt good back then with no real need to change up much. But Sea of Thieves was simply not a very good experience. The VSync lag in that game was, well, very real. But games with VSync are going to have this. It's just kind of a thing. Just because it's on a console doesn't mean that magically VSync lag goes away, and that's definitely something to consider. And my biggest problem on the Xbox is that it's simply limited support for now. Hopefully that will get better. Okay, now let's move on to the real treat here. And this is where I'll leave my Xbox in the dust and tell you what made me love the RAZER turret, my PC. I've been on the edge of whether or not to build a gaming PC for my living room, and this right here may have pushed me over the edge. See, I drug my personal computer to the living room, fired up the Division 2, and then moved into other games and simply kept playing. 4 hours later, I had to get back to work, of course. It's quite the bummer. But simply put, the RAZER turret may have been made for the Xbox, but it is so good at home on a PC in your living room that you don't even have to worry about whether the game is supported or not. Using my computer from the comfort of my couch, I even wrote most of this sitting there on my sofa. So is the RAZER turret worth the $250 asking price? Well, when you consider that the Mamba wireless is about $100 and the RAZER Black Widow 10 keyless will run you at least $90 for the Black Widow Lite and upwards to $120 for the Tournament Edition. So when you think about it that way, and then you add in the fact that you're getting a hard surface mouse pad that's retractable, it's a pretty versatile kit. And you're looking at a setup that I feel is worth the $250 asking price, because that's not far off from what these components would cost individually, and you're getting the full Xbox support from it. Of course, that is also the biggest problem, is the Xbox and its limited support for mouse and keyboard for now. And while it may get better, I can't and won't make any promises that that'll happen. But I can't fault RAZER for it either, because that's not them. However, it is something to be considered. But when it comes to PC support, it's top notch and makes for one of the most solid living room PC experiences I've ever had. In fact, I would argue that RAZER could have just released this as a PC peripheral and nobody would have missed out. So let us know what you think about products like this, the RAZER turret, or other living room wireless gaming peripherals that will let you toss the controller to the wayside and play like you want to play on a PC. Think they're worth it or not? Love to hear your thoughts down in below. This has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV. Make sure that you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so that we don't miss you guys in the next one.